Helen finishes cooking dinner. Bruce makes Piper's dinner of bacon and vegetable chips. Spencer and Piper set the table. As Helen and Spencer chat twice or thrice, Piper slams down a glass plate and then glances at Bruce, eager for an adverse reaction. Bruce, to Piper's disappointment, pretends not to notice, anticipating that to scold her will only make her increase the behavior.
But you don't have to notice the allusions to Walt Whitman or Scarface, Rain Man, or anything else.
Of course you don't have to, but doesn't knowing them make you respect Vince Gilligan all the more?
If I were to make a list of things that I most respect, allusions would come long after characters, cinematography.
It all contributes to Breaking Bad as a whole. It wouldn't be what it is if you removed any of those things.
I would enjoy it just as much without all the highbrow references.
Okay, since when is Scarface highbrow?
The particular source doesn't matter. It's the whole concept of the illusions that's highbrow.
I think you're just mad that you never get these highbrow illusions until I explain them to you.
And I think that's your head that's inflated since the last time I saw you.
Once the table is set, Piper sits on the living room floor. She arranges her toys across the room as she eats. Piper, Bruce, and Helen sit down at the dining table. As he eats, Spencer folds his napkin horizontally, then vertically, repeating these motions until he's left with nothing but a tiny square. He then unfolds the napkin and begins the whole process again.
Hi, I'm Jim, and today I'm going to teach you all about gin rummy.
It's good to be back home. I've missed these family dinners.
There's no need to make fun, Spencer.
So, you want to know all the tips, tools, and techniques needed to play a mean game of gin rummy?
I was being sincere.
Because I would hope you could appreciate the progress she's made in even being in the same vicinity
Well,
as us.
look no further, chumps, or should I say, future champs, because with my help, you'll soon be playing like a pro.
I do, Dad. It's like when I go over to a friend's house and the family sit down together. Well, I'd get a little jealous I didn't have that.
Let's start with the basics.
It's nice having that in the Army, too. Sitting down to meals at the same time as everyone else, you know?
Speaking of which, we do get to hear about the life at Fort Carson.
The object of gin rummy is to collect a hand where most or all of your cards can be melded into sets or runs, and the point value of the remaining cards in your hand is low.
What do you want to know?
Whatever you want to tell us. I mean, you've been gone for 6 months.
Oh, yeah, but it's not like we had it.
Now, you're
sight.
probably sitting there thinking, what are all these runs and sets that this gym guy is talking about?
I've kept you pretty informed.
There's only so much you can tell us during a weekly call. I'm sure there are some things you skipped over.
A run consists of 3 or more cards in the same suit in consecutive order, such as this here 3, 4, and 5 of spades.
Sure, but there isn't much to say about Army living. Life there is all about routines. Not having a bunch of outrageous stories to tell your loving parents.
And the set is 3 or 4 cards of the same rank, such as the 4 queens or 3 sixes that I have displayed here.
Well, we'll give you time to think, but by tomorrow morning, you should have a whole bunch of stories ready to go.
Yikes, sounds like homework.
A card can only belong to either a run or a set.
Well, since you won't talk about yourself, how are Marcus and Terrence doing? Have you guys stayed in touch?
Yeah, we Skype now and then. They're good, just finished their winter semester.
Do you want some pretzels?
Wait, no, sit down. She can do this herself. Thank you. Piper, if you would like something, you can come in here and nicely ask. Yes, Piper?
Do you want some pretzels?
No, I do not want some pretzels.
Piper fiddles with her tracking bracelet.
Do I want some pretzels?
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Then I'll go get you some. Thank you for asking so nicely. Could you go bring me your bowl?
No.
All right, we won't put you.
Bruce fills a bowl with gluten-free pretzels.
So, did you make it through all of Dexter yet?
No, I made it through season 4 before needing a break.
Oh, come on, Mom. How could you stop
The
there?
season finale was too emotional.
But all those emotions should propel you to find out what happens next, not abandon the show.
I'm not abandoning it. I just need some time to
Here you go.
recover.
Piper grasps the bowl, but Bruce does not let it go.
Thank you, Peter Pan. Thank you, Dad.
Quite welcome.
Piper goes back to the living room and sits in her place upon the floor. Bruce sits back down at the table.
Now that we've discussed the rules of gin rummy, let's move on to some fierce fun and fresh strategies.
So we've gone back to Peter Pan, huh? Man, I haven't been called Pan or Hook since she was 7 or 8. What happened to calling everyone Queen of Hearts?
Oh, we left her behind around 4 months ago, suddenly she preferred a chapter of Peter and Wendy at bedtime instead.
Our basic strategy is to form melds and to get rid of high unmelded cards.
Bruce, there was no need to snap.
Snap? I didn't snap. I was perfectly patient with her.
I meant to me, Bruce.
There are 32 possible melds of 3 of a kind and 44 possible 3-card melds of the same suit.
Look, I didn't mean to snap, but Piper's got to learn how to do things for herself, and she can't do that if she's being coddled all the time.
So your odds are far better if you try for a 3-card meld of the same suit rather than a 3-card meld of the same number.
Are you suggesting I don't know how to act around my own daughter?
No, I'm saying that if she's ever going to have a successful future, we both have to start.
Oh, so you're suggesting I don't want what's best for my daughter?
Would you stop putting words in my mouth?
Mom and Dad are happy.
We're not immortal, Helen. I'd like to take care of her forever too, but I recognize that's impossible.
Right, and meanwhile, I'm living in my dream world to hide from the shock of my own mortality.
You want Mom and Dad to be happy?
We intended to have her finances, her job, her ability to take care of herself all set by the time she turned 18.
It isn't for a lack of trying that we don't just...
Because she can't set it up for herself, and doesn't that scare you? To know if we don't do this, no one will.
Excuse me, please. I'm sorry. The yelling is all done now.
And we're doing it. This isn't a single-parent household, and I have as much of a right as you to raise our daughter.
You aren't with Piper 24/7 the way I am, which means you perfectly don't understand.
It's time for Mom and Dad to be happy.
Yes, Piper. We're happy. Mom and Dad sometimes raise their voices when they're tired, but we're happy. We're fine.
Spencer goes into the living room, his napkin scrubbed held loosely in his purse. Helen and Bruce clear the table and go off stage.
You okay, Piper?
Yes.
Good. I still have the airline peanuts if you want them. Or do you not like peanuts either? Did peanuts go the way of Alice in Wonderland?
We mentioned before that the opponent has the option to lay off some of his deadwood cards on the other player's melds.
Are you saying that airline peanuts are like deadwood cards? That I should get rid of them?
But if the knocker is presented with a gin hand, the opponent is not allowed to lay off cards.
Oh, what am I talking about? I'm the only one who makes too much meaning out of everything. Silly Spencer.
Silly Spencer. You might be surprised to learn that despite all of these rules, there are possible gameplay variations. These variations should be decided on amicably before the game.
Spencer slams the photo face down upon a mantle.
Uh-oh.
No, leave it. That's where it belongs.
Even as he speaks, Piper bolts up and writes the photo.
All better. Good job, Piper. You fixed Spencer's military photo.
Sure. Good job.
Spencer is happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm fine, Piper. Don't worry.
Bruce enters.
Ready to wrap some presents, Piper?
You will wrap presents at 7 p.m., 9 minutes away.
You're right. That's true, that's true. That is what your schedule says. But if we start earlier, that means we can finish earlier too.
What do we need?
Excellent question. Let's look at your picture chart.
There's no step for cutting the wrapping paper. Shouldn't that come first?
I cut it up beforehand. Using scissors is another skill we're working on, but I don't want to overwhelm her with too many challenges at once.
Fair enough.
Piper returns with the box, roll of tape, and sheet of wrapping paper, pre-cut to fit the box. She sits on the floor.
Nice job getting those things by yourself.
Step 1, place box on paper.
Piper only performs each step after she has announced it.
That's right. Great start.
Step 2, fold one side of paper up and tape.
All right, remember the hand placement we talked about? Use one hand to hold the wrapping paper against the box and the other to get the tape.
With great concentration, Piper follows Bruce's advice. Helen enters the living room.
How about a match of Jim Rummy?
I thought we usually played after Piper's meds.
Meds come at 8:30, 95 minutes away.
Yes, you're right, Piper.
Nice job. I know that was a real challenge for you, and I appreciate how calm you stayed.
Step 3, turn box 180 degrees.
Her new med regimen makes her more tired than the old one, so I have a window of free time to spend with you.
Step 4, fold other side of paper up and tape.
But I know traveling days can be tiring, so I understand if you don't really...
Of course I want to play. I wouldn't be a part of the Raleigh family if I didn't love routines, now would I?
While they play gin rummy, Spencer notices the napkin scraps still clutched in his fist. He glances around at his family to see if they've noticed. They haven't.
I like how you're using both hands at the same time to do different tasks. I know that isn't easy for you.
Now, I feel like it's only fair to warn you. I've gotten very good at this game since you were last here.
You've been practicing without me? How could you do such a thing?
Step 5, press sides of wrapping paper down against edge of box.
Was there ever a rule that I couldn't do such a thing?
In the Raleigh rule book, yes.
Gently, Piper.
That's right, gently. We don't want to tear the wrapping paper the way we did last time.
You could have been practicing gin rummy too, instead of rotting your brain with TV all the time.
Step 6, fold one side of paper into triangle shape.
Excuse me, I actually tend to be pretty busy with, protecting our country.
Oh, excuses.
Step 7, press triangle shape flat against box and tape.
Don't be such a premature sore loser.
Oh, don't worry. I still plan, like always, to wipe our gin rummy floor with you.
You're doing super. There's 6 more steps to go, and then we can wrap another present.
The whiteboard reads Sunday, December 22nd. The list of numbered items includes 2:45 p.m. to decorate Christmas tree. Piper and Spencer sit on the floor in the living room, watching A Farewell to Arms. As the movie plays, Piper and Spencer quote the dialogue.
Oh, darling, I'm going to die. Don't let me die. Take me in your arms. Hold me tight. Don't let me go.
Cat.
It's dark. I've been alone. I don't want to leave you anymore. I've been alone so much.
You can't die. You're too brave to die. You're a fine girl, a brave girl.
Bruce enters carrying a large box of Christmas decorations. Spencer helps him set the box down.
I forgot how much Christmas junk we have.
Actually, there's a whole other box of junk on the way.
Bruce exits. Piper rewinds the VHS player. She still speaks in Lieutenant Henry's voice and in sync with the video, but more sharply.
You can't die. You're too brave to die. You're a fine girl, a brave girl.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, I am a brave girl.
Whatever happens, you'll not be afraid.
I'll not be afraid.
Well, we've never been apart, really, not since we met.
Not since we've met.
We never can be.
Never parted.
In life and in death. Say it, Cat.
In life and in death, we'll never be parted.
Piper hits the rewind button and begins to watch the entire film backwards. The whir of the outdated VCR is audible.
Right. No tragic deaths for us, just a prelude.
Bruce returns carrying another box.
Well, it is a nicer version of the story, the way Piper viewed it.
Not really. It's obvious that Catherine's on her deathbed. And even if she did have a miraculous recovery, who's to say the love between her and Henry would have lasted?
My Simon, the eternal optimist.
Hey, pessimists live longer and happier lives. They're not constantly disappointed.
That's a bleak outlook.
I'd rather call it realistic.
Spencer begins hanging ornaments on the tree.
Piper, you want to go and decorate?
No, Mr. Shmee. No, Dad.
That's okay. Thanks for addressing me so politely. Spencer, why are you putting the ornaments on first?
Oh,
You know, the lights go on before everything else, remember?
yeah, just spaced out, but does it really matter? Everything's going on the tree eventually.
There's no need to get defensive. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, Dad, so am I.
Spencer takes the ornaments off the tree.
So, how about those lights shaped like Mickey Mouse heads? Where'd they go?
Those all things? But half of them have shorted out.
It's a sentimental thing. We've had all those lights since I was, what, 6 or 7?
Target in San Francisco, November 1999. Priced at $25.99.
Right, so I was about 6.
Oh, so my pessimistic son is also a romantic.
I guess so.
Seems a little contradictory to ridicule happy endings while getting sentimental over broken objects.
All I was trying to say about Farewell to Arms is that even if you cut it off early, that doesn't mean the characters' lives just stop. It doesn't mean they're ever after. Against all odds, it can still be a happy one.
But wouldn't it be nice to just believe could be.
Letting yourself believe that only makes the realization that it couldn't be all the worse.
Okay. But cherishing broken Christmas
It's
lights,
completely different. I can be nostalgic about the past without being unrealistic about the future.
I threw out the Mickey lights last year. Spencer.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize how much they meant to you.
Don't worry about it. They're just lights.
I can run by Target this afternoon and see what's left on the Christmas section.
Pretty sure they discounted the Mickey lights.
In 2005.
Then I look at what's being offered on eBay and,
Seriously, Dad, don't sweat it. We have other lights.
okay, if you're sure.
Yeah, I am.
So, the blue lights or the red?
Blue.
Of course, blue. That was a pretty silly question, Dad. Like,
Oh, well, that's my job in this house, to ask the silly question.
and Piper's is to correct us all.
So, speaking of silly questions,
Uh-oh.
when are you going back to Fort Carson?
Oh. Not sure.
Or when you get the chance, can you look that up? You need to plan for me and your mom to take you to the airport.
Yeah, well, I haven't bought my ticket, but when I do,
I thought you told us you were going to buy a ticket months ago.
Yeah, it slipped my mind, but I'll do it when we're done with all of this.
When are you going to report back?
Sometime next month.
Aren't you given exactly 30 days leave a year?
I am. I just don't remember right now how many days I've got left.
Airline prices are going to skyrocket. They haven't already.
I know. I didn't mean to wait until this late, but I just
Well,
had
if
some-
you don't have to be so remorseful, it's not the end of the world.
Thanks for confirming that. I wasn't sure.
You can check the flight prices when we're done decorating.
Yeah, and I'll get my ticket earlier next time. I just haven't been thinking straight lately. The past few months have been stressful.
But you must find ways to relieve stress even while on duty.
Of course. So, we have a gang shower shared by everyone on our floor, right? And my roommate would always leave his shampoo in the showers, even though anything left there would be stolen. It's a communal space, sure, but there's no communal belongings and people gotta learn their lesson. My roommate had no idea how to teach that lesson though. So I suggested, how about you pop some Nair in your shampoo bottle so we can catch the culprit? Innocent till proven guilty, right? So we went down to the Chopay for shampoo and Nair, mixed them together, then put the rig shampoo in the gang showers. Next day, this guy on our floor, Mike, real preppy guy with this thick crop of blonde hair, comes into the mess hall with all of his hair gone, including his eyebrows. Bald as a newborn. No, worse, as a stick cartoon character. And I was like, Mike, are you trying to start a new trend? And Frank was all, wow, that new Suave shampoo sure does the trick. Mike tried to laugh it off, but he was pretty humiliated, and so Frank was vindicated.
Oh, wait. Is Frank your roommate now? I thought you were rooming with Brody.
No, Frank's my roommate now.
Oh, well, that's a great story. It reminds me of when I was in a frat. We were a bunch of idiots, but we're still brothers.
Right.
Noticing Piper, Bruce rushes over to crouch beside her. Spencer and Bruce behave with practiced calm to conceal their anxiety throughout this meltdown.
Wait, Piper, tell me what you want. I'm here. I'm listening to you. Look, I know you're unhappy, Piper. You need to tell me why so I can make it better.
Whatever happens, you'll not be afraid, Spencer!
Daddy, it's okay.
Look, I see you're upset. You're shaking and you're yelling. I know that you're angry.
We've never been apart, really, not since we met, Spencer!
Dad, stop. It's me she wants to talk to.
Are you upset I was not paying attention to you? I'm sorry about that, and I'm paying attention to you now.
We can never be, Spencer! In life and in death. Say it, Spencer!
In life and in death will never be parted. What is it you want, Piper?
You want more VHS tapes?
Sure, I can go get different ones from your room if you
You
want.
don't want more VHS tapes.
That's fine. You don't have to have more.
You want your toy horses?
Great, I'll go grab them from your room.
No, it's time for a snack!
If you're hungry, then I can get you some pretzels.
No, thank you, Captain Hook!
She kicks Spencer in the shins. Bruce jumps forward, but Spencer gestures for him to stay back.
I'm sorry, Piper. I know how hard it is for you to not be able to say what you really mean.
He puts out his hands. Piper latches onto them and squeezes hard. Spencer grimaces but does not pull away. Slowly, Piper stops crying.
Hey, it looks like you finished watching Farewell to Arms on Rewind. So how about we watch the end of the film again? Your end, I mean.
Yes.
I'll set it up.
Bruce fast forwards the film to the start of the scene. Piper returns to the TV. Within seconds, she seems fine. Bruce crosses back to Spencer. Both are weary, even if accustomed to such episodes, so they do not recover as fast as Piper.
You okay?
Of course.
Are you sure?
I wouldn't say it if I wasn't.
I'm just making sure.
I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Always. So, are we ready to hang the stockings on the fireplace?
The whiteboard reads, Monday, December 23rd. Spencer and Helen are in the kitchen baking Christmas desserts. Their conversation remains fairly lighthearted until the subject of the future starts to surface.
But you're missing the point. All the Mission Impossible movies are supposed to be similar. They have a formula, and it's a good one, so there's no reason to change it.
I'm tired of all these movies with explosions, and I'm tired of Tom Cruise for that matter.
Well, again, he's hit on a formula that works, so why change it?
I didn't say he should change it. I shouldn't have to suffer through all of Cruise's explosion
I
films.
think you mean action films.
Just because of a successful formula.
There's a reason he's won several Golden Globes.
I know. You'll be proud to know I did finally rewatch Rain Man.
It's about time. That's a fantastic film.
It is, but it's incredibly hard to watch.
I know. I get this awful anxiety every time I watch it. Like, will they get off the road in time for Jeopardy? Can they find any green jello in the middle of nowhere? And let's not even talk about the airport scene.
And the film was different than I remembered, or I don't
It looks different now than it did before you had Piper.
I knew it would, just not in what ways.
Right. I'm sure, but I'm glad you gave it another watch.
And I'm glad I never have to watch it again.
Hey, what happened to Never Say Never?
Did I ever say that?
I don't know. Seems like the kind of thing a mom would say, or at least a classic movie mother.
Oh, excellent. My own son has reduced me to a cliche.
Sorry. So, apart from criticizing Tom Cruise, what have you been doing the past 6 months?
Oh, you know, the usual. Constantly changing from my engineer hat to my mother hat and back again. But you know all my routines.
I'm sure you got something to tell me about.
Well, I mean, if you really want to hear about the problematic subsonic flow speed of one of our new commercial aircraft,
I'll pass, thanks.
that's what I thought.
I mean, I'm glad you're enthusiastic, but you sound like you're speaking another language when you talk about that stuff.
I am enthusiastic about that stuff, which is fortunate given that I'm never going to retire, so
Let's give Never Say Never a try.
Piper's still going to need us for a while, so I have to stay employed.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm not upset about it. I wouldn't know what to do without my job.
How about take some time to yourself for once?
People lose so much of their purpose when they leave their jobs. You know, mortality rates are actually much higher among seniors who retire than those who continue to work. You know, that's...
Don't recite abstract things like that.
How are statistics...
Both you and Dad, you got so much on your plates. I ought to be here, like, doing more.
Stop. Stop right there. We've talked about this, Spencer.
Except we haven't, because every time I bring this
Your
up...
father and I have already had our use and our freedoms. We want you to have the same.
And I appreciate that, but we need to be able to talk about this now before you're gone, or can't
We
communicate.
want
or
you to
something.
make your own choices without any thought for us. Exactly like any other 20-year-old.
I do make my own choices, but I also have to always consider how my choices affect me and Piper's future.
Your future and Piper's are not intertwined.
I'm gonna be in her life much longer than you and Dad will be.
Yes, but we won't allow you to become your burden.
She's not a burden. She's my sister. But she is going to be my responsibility
We're
one
arranging
day.
her job, her living situation, and her finances, so you don't have to worry about that down the road.
Please listen, Mom. I am choosing to be a part of all these decisions starting now. I'm not in the Army anymore.
I don't understand.
What's not to understand? I left the Army, I wanted to leave, and so I left. Why aren't you saying anything?
Well, because I want you to say something.
I am, but you don't seem to believe any of it.
I know you would never lie to me.
That's not the same thing.
Well, then what is it you want me to say?
I don't have a set reply. I've wanted to tell you since I got back, really before then, but I didn't know how to tell you or how you respond or how I wanted you to respond.
But it wasn't like this?
Maybe not. I don't know. So, are you going to offer an opinion?
I can't offer an opinion if I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
Spencer, I know that you cannot just up and leave the Army. Not by choice, anyway.
I guess I'd hope you wouldn't know that. Well, you want to know why I was discharged now, huh?
I mean, only if you want to tell me.
Oh, don't do that. All that I do if you want to shit when you already have a fixed agenda. No, that isn't. I'm sorry.
Then he resumes their baking and encourages Helen to do the same, perhaps nudging a utensil or bowl into her hands. Helen takes what Spencer gives her, but does not immediately return to their food prep.
I was discharged because of a personality disorder.
What does that even mean?
Oh, it's just a fancy way of saying that I'm not cut out for the Army and they don't want to pay any of my benefits.
But why you?
Why not me? I have trouble with authority, difficulty completing tasks, a hard time keeping my temper in check.
None of this sounds like you.
No, I don't overreact.
Overreact? Oh no, I believe I'm actually underreacting. Do they honestly think they can get away with discharging you on whatever they can pull out of their asses?
They did have reasons for kicking me out.
Completely invalid ones. No, don't object. I know better than a bunch of strangers.
Well, to be fair, Mom, those strangers have spent more time with me these past 2 years than you have.
You're my son. This isn't right. As soon as Christmas is over, I'm gonna place some calls.
What? No, Mom, come on.
I'm no stranger to fighting for what's right when it comes to my children.
You don't need to make any calls. Who you even think you talk to is
I'll
literally
figure it
beyond-
out. I won't just stand by and watch while you're undermined by this corrupt, self-indulgent...
Mom! There's nothing you can do about my discharge. And even if there were, it'd be me that does it, not you.
I didn't mean that I would go over your head. I mean that we do it together.
But this is not your fight, it's mine.
There's no shame in getting help from other people when you need it.
Well, I don't need it.
Okay, so what are you gonna do?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
You can't let people get away with injustice, Spencer.
It's not an injustice. It's all fine. I was acting out. I realized the Army wasn't for me. And once I realized that, my behavior just changed.
But I thought you loved being in the Army.
I did. But there are other things I can love.
You know I will always support you in whatever you pursue, but if you're saying this out of guilt or a sense of neglected responsibility towards Piper...
Just because this entire house revolves around Piper doesn't mean my life revolves around her too.
What's wrong? Don't worry, everything's fine, Piper. Piper?
Yes, everything's fine. Spencer accidentally knocked over a chair, but we're fine.
Spencer is happy. Spencer, you are feeling happy.
Yes. Yes, Spencer's happy, don't worry.
They both wait to see if Piper is still upset, but Piper has gone silent, and so is presumably content.
I didn't want to leave for her. I wanted to leave for me. Okay?
Okay, Spencer.
You see, I joined up with the Army because I wanted to do some good. And I refused to see it for a long time. Some people don't enlist to do good. They enlist to conceal their cruelty. Once you're part of the military, you can get away with anything so long as it's hidden. So long as the military's image continues to be nice and shiny.
I'm afraid you've lost me, Spencer.
I mean, the routine tortures that go on in the military, prisons, or the undocumented deaths you only find out about on WikiLeaks. And that's just the hypocrisy. I can't stand it. And at first I thought, well, even if other people do shitty things, that shouldn't stop me from doing what I know is right. But I can't fight a whole system of corruption by myself.
No, that's impossible. It's one thing to try to make small, positive changes. It's entirely another to think you alone can change the world.
Right. That's why I wanted to leave. Why I had to leave.
And it sounds like that this is really the best for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Just don't tell Dad yet, okay?
Well, I wasn't planning to tell him behind your back, but why don't you want me to tell him?
I don't think he'll take it the way you did.
Your father and I approach a lot of things differently, but when it comes to your future, we've always been united. We want you to do what's right for you.
Except he still thinks that he knows better than I do what's right for me.
I promise he wants what's best for you, even if he doesn't always know how to express it.
Yeah, okay.
With an air of determined to lighten the mood, Spencer taste tests a dessert with his pinky finger.
Hey, not too bad if I say so myself.
Spencer, that is not sanitary.
Oh, come on, Mom. It's just going to be us at Christmas dinner. We already have each other's jobs.
Smiling, Helen finger tastes the dessert too. It is the middle of the night. The house is dark. Spencer in his pajamas is busy trying to occupy himself with various distractions, such as hopping channels or flipping through magazines. He periodically cups and rubs at his nose as though it hurts. Piper, also in pajamas, enters with a blue tub of toys. When she sees Spencer, she halts and fiddles with her tracking bracelet.
Do you want Spencer to go?
Oh. Hey, Piper.
Do you want Spencer to go, please?
You can sit here too. I won't bother you.
Are you getting tired, Peter Pan? You look like you need a nap.
How about we make a deal? If you let me stay in here, I'll let you look at my swim team medals.
Piper, how many times do I have to tell you not to go in my room and touch all of my shit?
You don't paint a very nice picture of me, do you? Well, tonight, I'm giving you permission to look at some of my stuff. If you let me stay in here, okay?
Piper turns on the lights, then sets her toys upon the floor and begins to arrange them.
I'll take that as a yes.
Spencer exits. Piper continues to arrange her possessions.
So the war starts up again. There are ammunition mules going up. Forget the war. You see, my dear, I was studying architecture. Do you know what that is?
There you go. Swim team and soccer medals from middle school through high school.
Do you want Spencer's military awards?
You don't want it. I haven't done anything deserving of a military award.
Spencer won an Army Service Ribbon in December 2011.
Well, They award that to basically any idiot who can get through boot camp without blowing his foot off. And
A physical fitness badge in December 2011.
that's not even a medal, just a patch on my training
A
uniform.
sharpshooter Army marksmanship qualification badge for pistol in April 2012.
Okay. That one is a medal, but not a great one. Didn't get the highest score.
An expert Army marksmanship qualification badge for rifle in September 2012.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. You don't need to recite them.
An excellence in rifle competition bronze badge.
Piper, stop!
Do your ears hurt, lost boy?
Okay, you were right, and I was wrong. Silly Spencer.
Silly Spencer. Tomorrow, Spencer will bring you the military awards.
That wasn't part of our deal. Be happy with the medals I gave you.
Today, you will be happy with the medals I gave you. Tomorrow, you will look at the military awards.
But we're not negotiating this.
Do you want to tell a story, Wendy?
Once upon a time, Spencer made a deal with Piper that if he let her look at his medals, she let him stay in the living room. But Piper got greedy and wanted more medals, like how Peter Pan got greedy and tired and tried to drag Wendy to Neverland, even though she didn't want to go. Peter Pan wanted Wendy to tell him and the Lost Boys lots of stories, more stories than they could ever need. So Spencer told Piper she had enough medals, and then Piper was happy. The end.
Do you want a different story?
There's nothing wrong with that story.
Well, in my book, my father died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
Okay. Hey, why don't you tell me a story?
Like what, Captain Hook?
Like, what's up with your new bracelet?
When a loved one with a medical condition such as autism or Alzheimer's wanders away from home, families go sick with worry. Will their loved one encounter an unkind stranger or lose their way and not return home for days? Conquer these worries with Wander Responder, voted the #1 tracking system by police and caretakers across the nation. Worry no longer. Order your Wander Responder bracelet today.
Okay. Weird commercial, but cool device. Nice that mom and dad get to sleep more without having to worry.
Mom and Dad get up at 5:45 a.m. every weekday and 7:15 a.m. every weekend.
Well, a bit more.
Spencer gets up between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. when home on vacation.
Yeah, he used to, before he, like Piper, became a night owl.
You don't want Spencer and Piper to be owls.
No. Sorry, I just meant that we're bad at sleeping.
But I am. I am very moved to see you so badly wounded. How did it happen?
Snoozing until 2 p.m. isn't as much fun as it used to be.
I will see you are decorated for bravery. Did you carry someone on your back?
But no point in getting caught up in all that.
I didn't carry anybody. I couldn't move.
Somehow you survived all these years without much sleep. I'm still learning to do the same, but...
Do you want Spencer to go?
Oh, come on.
Do I want Spencer to go, please?
We made a deal.
Piper hurls one of Spencer's medals across the room.
Surely there was something heroic. Tell me what you did.
Keep it down. Don't need to wake the whole house.
I was blown up eating cheese.
You don't like to stay in your bedroom either when you can't sleep. If you could just try to relate or something, please.
Well, don't worry, baby. I will fix you up so that you are good as new. You will see. Every day I learn to do things smoother and quicker. Soon, very soon, you will be walking again.
The whiteboard reads, Tuesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Spencer, Bruce, and Helen are eating dinner. Bruce and Helen are tense and focused upon their food.
So, who's excited for the parade tomorrow?
Can't wait.
I'm hoping the Muppets come back. That was great. The year they had a performance, whatever year that was. Always great to see the Regis too. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire isn't the same without him.
I agree.
Did you know most of the parade isn't live? It used to be until, I don't know, the early 90s, but then Disney
That's
decided
great.
that.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go get Piper.
Bruce,
It's dinner time.
we talked about this.
Spencer begins to fold his napkin into small squares.
And I still don't agree with you. When the family sits down to dinner, then the family sits down to dinner.
She made it clear that she doesn't want to join us tonight, and we're going to respect her wishes.
Respect her. Oh, so the next time she walks out of the bathroom without her pants on, or bites you on the breast,
Stop it.
or throws herself down on the floor of Trader Joe's when they're out of gluten-free pretzels, we should respect those wishes too.
Do your ears hurt, Mrs. Darling?
Those actions aren't comparable.
It's
to
always comparable. You seem to think Piper will just learn acceptable behaviors without having them enforced.
You enforce them all day long. You can't expect her to be perfect 24/7.
Yes, Mr. Smee, my ears do hurt.
I don't expect her to be perfect. I expect her to one day have a job and be part of society as much as she's capable.
And you think I don't want those same things?
What I think is you don't realistically know how to help her achieve those goals.
I'm so sorry your ears hurt, Tiger Lily.
Just because someone takes off her pants at home doesn't mean they're going to strip on the job too. Different actions are appropriate for work and for home.
But that's just it, Helen. She doesn't know the difference.
That's why we're teaching her.
Maybe we should see the ear doctor called Peter Pan.
When do you?
Well, if anyone cares, Piper would appreciate it if we would stop yelling. And I'd say that yelling isn't acceptable behavior at home or work.
We aren't yelling. Sometimes your mom and I, we have difficulty understanding each other. But it doesn't mean we don't love each other.
Please don't talk to me like I'm 5.
Then don't talk to us with such snark.
So, how about the Muppets in the parade?
Please. It's Christmas Eve.
Yes, you're right. A peace offering. Besides, you need a new napkin.
Can't argue with that.
Disney Parade is my favorite part of Christmas.
Oh, not the quality time spent with your family?
Oh, no. Nope. Or the delicious food, the presents, the excursion to the movies once things get boring inside the house.
Boring. Us? Never.
You can say a lot of things about the Rawleys, but predictable is not one of them.
Which is a funny thing to not be able to say about a family that schedules the exact minute each person brushes their teeth.
Well, it takes a shit even.
Spencer.
Hey, it's true. Last Christmas, I went into the upstairs bathroom to, well, use the bathroom. And I remember thinking it'd be fine to use that bathroom at 8:45 because Piper's bath doesn't start until 9. But all of a sudden, Piper started banging on the door yelling, "Is it time for your bath?" And I said, "No, Piper, your bath's at 9. But the schedule had changed while I was gone. So she shot back, "No, your bath's at 8:45. So I said, "Look, I'll be out in a minute. Just let me finish up on the toilet, okay?" And she replied, totally matter of fact, "No, you will not let Spencer finish up on the toilet, okay?"
Look, don't ask a question if you don't want the answer, right?
Yeah, I know.
At least you got a good story out of it.
A story that no one will ever get apart from you guys. Dad, Dad, I want to tell you something.
So, of course. What's going on?
I'm not in the Army anymore.
What? Why?
I was discharged.
What do you mean? What for?
Personality disorder officially, but that doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter? And what disorder? You've never seen a psychiatrist. You never needed one.
Well, the military thought otherwise, but it's fine.
How is it fine?
Personality disorder is just whatever the term, some kind of maladaptive behavior. So in my case, I had difficulty respecting authority, completing tasks.
But that's bullshit.
Dad, can you please?
Don't you? So, Helen, you agree that this is bullshit, right?
I think it is definitely a diagnosis doled out for political rather than factual reasons.
Exactly. You're one of the most reliable people I know, probably the most out of a group of 20-year-old idiots.
Dad, please let me finish.
Oh, look, I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Go on.
I wouldn't call it a disorder, but the reasons behind it are true. I didn't respect authority there. I couldn't. Not when I didn't respect the person with the authority. I agree with the military is supposed to stand for, but not what they actually do.
And what is that?
Oh, the shit you see on the news, the torture in our humane prisons, or the death toll of unarmed civilians in Afghanistan. And I couldn't take those double standards. I need to do something with my life that I can feel good about instead of just guilty.
I'm proud of you, Spencer.
You are?
Of course. I know you hate the feeling as though you failed. If this wasn't a failure, you had to do what's best for you. And
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Thanks, Dad.
that discharge isn't going to look good on your permanent record, though. You ought to get your papers changed.
We don't need to do anything.
They can't be allowed to not only treat you that way in the military, but they also can't screw over your future.
It's fine. I'll be fine wherever I end up next.
There are a lot of jobs where you can consider hiring you if you've got some sort of psychiatric label on it.
It's not a real
Your
label,
future employers won't know that.
so they'll know when they meet me.
Assuming they don't put your resume in the trash.
What does it matter? I don't have to disclose my medical history anyhow.
Nobody's going to just let it slide, anything other than an honorable discharge. They'll want to know the reason, and then whether you disclose it or not, the job is probably lost.
Your father isn't saying that employers are right to act this way. You know the ridiculous struggles we're having to even get Piper a volunteer job? But this is reality, okay? People will treat you differently because of this.
I'll cross that line when I come to it, okay?
Meaning,
well, right now, I'm not even sending out resumes.
Okay, so what are you doing right now?
Not sure. I need some time to decompress.
Well, there's no harm in planning ahead.
And we know you won't be happy sitting idle for months.
I never plan on doing that. Is that really what you think of me?
Of course not. We're trying to help you.
And you don't need to use that tone with
I'm
us.
not using any tone. I'm frustrated. Why am I the only one in this house not allowed to express what I'm feeling?
That is not true.
Isn't it?
You know it isn't. I just ask that you not always be so testy.
Well, I'm sorry to spoil the delusion, yours and mine, that I'm not perfect. That I do fuck up. Sometimes I just don't want to have to be the rock. Did you guys ever stop to consider that?
No one ever said that you had to be the rock.
What
Spencer.
else am I supposed to do when everyone else is a hurricane?
He bolts from the kitchen. Piper comes running on stage.
Do you want some Do you want Spencer to stop yelling?
I wasn't yelling.
It's time for Spencer to be happy.
I'm trying to be Piper.
Do you want some pretzels?
Did you want something else, Piper?
I don't know, Mr. Darling.
Spencer returns, pulling on a jacket. As he crosses the kitchen, he slams his army photo face down on the mantel.
Hook rose to the rock to breathe, and at the same moment, Peter scaled it on the opposite side.
Going to Marcus's. Don't wait up.
The rock was slippery as a ball, and they had to crawl rather than climb.
Piper, I know it's a little loud in here, but you're fine. It's okay.
Neither knew that the other was coming.
It's Christmas Eve, Spencer, so it might be wise not to interrupt.
Marcus is Jewish!
Each feeling for a grip met the other's arm. In surprise, they raised their heads.
Piper, everything's okay. Why don't you show me your calm body? Come on. There you go. There you go. Relax your hands.
Okay, have a good time.
Their faces were almost touching, so they met.
It is the middle of the night. The house is dark. Piper enters the living room in her pajamas. She carries a blue tub of toys under one arm and a stack of books under the other. She is struggling to keep herself calm.
Was 5:15 still not early enough for you, Piper? Oh, well, that's fine. We'll try again tomorrow to sleep in.
She returns on the lights and arranges her belongings.
You see, you make a wish and then try and break some glass. You got to be a pretty good shot nowadays, too. Oh, no, George, don't. It's full of romance, that old place. I'd like to live in it.
She topples one of her toys.
Oops, that was a mistake. Let's try that again, shall we?
She writes the toys.
Great, you fixed it. Good work, Piper. I'm proud of you. I wouldn't live in it as a ghost.
A flurry of sounds, a door unlocking, then slamming open, an alarm going off, Piper crying out, a patter of footsteps. Then the sound of 2 pairs of feet coming downstairs, followed by the sounds of more locks and doors opening then shuttering. The alarm continues to blare.
No sign of Rob back.
Not out front either. Helen Raleigh, my daughter's missing. Yes, Piper. And whoever you send out, if she's muttering or flapping her hands, just let her... Yes, my husband did give the lecture at the academy about that. I just wanted to... Right. Thank you.
We need to help them.
It's their job to bring her back.
They're going to scare her or make her angry.
They have all of their information on the
Or
file.
as if they were in
This is why we bought a responder, remember? So we wouldn't have to let our emotions run away from us when she wanders off.
Those imbeciles will probably pin her to the ground the moment she tries to flap her hands.
They know what to do. And even if they don't know, they have to learn eventually, and eventually should be now while we're still around to coach her for the next time.
I don't understand how you can act like everything's fine when she hasn't ran off in months.
It's anything but fine, but we need to be used to her being in somebody else's hands.
And last time was right after the episode at Walgreens that she had with you.
Oh, right, because obviously it's my fault whenever a fire alarm goes off.
I'm just pointing out that the last time you let her escalate so much that she ran off into the middle of the road.
And had she been with you, you would have magically fixed everything as you always do.
Maybe instead of getting snarky with me, you can help me figure this out.
I can't help if you don't understand that we're on the same team.
Are we? Because sometimes I don't feel like we care about the same thing.
Oh, so now I don't even care about my daughter.
That's not what I said.
You didn't have to. Helen Raleigh, our password is Gin Rummy. No, the alarm wasn't triggered by anything. Well, it was set off, yes. No, but not by a break-in. My daughter has run off. Yes. The police have been notified. I hope so too. Good night. Bruce.
I know. You too. Could you distract me?
You don't need me. The good old American telly's right over there.
It's funnier than the late night shopping channels.
Oh, thank you. It's always been a dream of mine.
Mission accomplished. Piper's schedule is wrong.
What?
It's Christmas morning.
Oh, yes.
So, it was the last time we were the first family member to open a Christmas gift.
Why? Not since ye old childless days.
Bruce retrieves a present from under the tree and gives it to Helen.
Oh, I don't think I did
Would you rather put on your one-woman show?
it. Are those my only options?
Yes.
Well, when you put it like that.
She unwraps the gift and reveals a DVD of Apollo 13.
Oh, excellent. It was about time we upgraded from the VHS tape.
My thoughts exactly. That thing's as old as Piper.
Even at 3 months old, she watched Apollo 13 very intensely.
And since then, we've all watched it enough times to memorize.
If you haven't noticed, our family firmly believes that great films are worth memorization.
Great. You had some pretty, serious complaints about it too.
Well, I don't appreciate the lack of female engineers.
It's historically accurate.
That's not an excuse. It wouldn't have been hard to include a few female extras as Mission Control Center. I remember deciding right away that when my daughter was older, We'd have a serious chat about that after we watched the film together.
And there it is.
What?
That's it. The return of Helen's bra-burning shtick. Ah.
Why do you keep insisting that I become your comedian?
Hello? Yes, this is her father. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think I can thank you enough. Right. That was a stroke of genius, deciding to fucking wrestle her to the ground. No, I am entitled to speak to you like this. Look, just tell me where you took her. Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll be right there.
Bruce hangs up. He and Helen bolt into the kitchen and off stage. We hear a door open, then slam. Later that night, the house is empty and the lights are on. Piper's toys remain scattered among the floor. There is the sound of a car pulling into the driveway, then of the front door opening. Piper marches inside, plunks down amongst her toys, and begins to arrange them. She looks as though she has been crying, and if her arms are showing that they should be bruised. Bruce and Helen enter and watch her.
Have you ever wondered about the history behind this fantastic card game?
Piper, I know you like to get up early, but tonight, would you like to go back to bed?
Would you not like to go back to bed?
Since tonight has been a bit more stressful than usual, sleeping might make you feel better.
You feel fine, Captain Hook.
All right. It's your choice. I just wanted to ask.
Gin rummy's roots are embedded deep in the American soil of the early 20th century.
We were worried about you tonight, Piper.
The game was first created at a card club by a father and son duo, Elwood T. Baker and C. Graham Baker, respectively.
When the police called and they told us they had to hurt you to get you inside of their car.
Is it past Dad's bedtime?
Okay. Maybe we'll talk tomorrow instead.
Mom, would you like Dad to go to bed?
No need to get upset, Piper. It's been a long night for all of us, okay? We'll see you in the morning.
At 7:15, 269 minutes away.
Yes, at 7:15, right on schedule.
Elwood is the one who created gin rummy, but the younger Baker invented the name.
Good night, Piper.
Gambling card games were often played in saloons, and the winner would get a drink such as gin or rum for a prize. And thus a game was born, or perhaps more accurately, a revolution. Uh-oh!
Oh, hey, Piper.
What's on the schedule for today, Peter Pan?
Relax, everything's fine.
Piper begins to clean up, putting all of her toys back in order. Straightening pillows, she periodically rubs her nose.
You're up early, even for you. Are you all right?
You're fine, Mr. Darling.
Okay, if you're sure, then I...
Now, some of you less optimistic folk out there might be objecting to my use of the word revolution.
Hey, everything's okay. Should we tell a story?
Gin rummy was admittedly more or less forgotten about during the 20s.
Let's tell a story. Once upon a time, Spencer came home in the middle of the night.
But
and
in
he
the
thought-
30s, it became fashionable for Hollywood stars to play matches between
But
takes.
Spencer was wrong. Piper wasn't upset, not at all. Piper was fine, but silly Spencer made a mistake.
After that,
and
the popularity of gin rummy surged dramatically, and this acclaim
like
has only
when the
been
Lost
climbing
Boys
since.
thought they killed Wendy. They were wrong too, because Wendy was fine. Just like Piper.
Today, gin rummy boasts about 50 million players in the United
Look,
States
Piper,
alone.
Piper, I don't know what's wrong.
Wrong? Everything's wrong.
But it's okay.
You call this a happy family?
Here, take my hands.
Why did we have to have all these kids?
Piper grabs Spencer's army headshot and slams it upright. She stands guard by the mantle.
All better.
Yes. Good job. You made everything all better.
The whiteboard reads, Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day. The schedule includes the items 9 a.m. Disney Parks Christmas Day Parade and 11 a.m. Open Presents. The normal dinner time should have also been erased. In its place, the board states 5 p.m. Christmas dinner. Later that morning, Piper sits on the floor while Helen, Bruce, and Spencer sit on the furniture. They are watching the parade.
Looks like someone's excited to open his presents.
Oh, no, I'm just excited to eat.
Whatever you say. I haven't seen you this eager about your gifts since you were maybe 5. That year you really thought there was a puppy inside one of your likes.
Would you like Dad to be quiet?
Piper, I'm allowed to talk to Spencer, and you can still hear the TV perfectly
Is Dad
fine.
making you unhappy? Are you sorry?
Yes, Piper, we're sorry.
They watch the rest of the parade in silence. When it's over, Piper snaps the TV off and Spencer springs to his feet. Piper begins to create a tower of presents with her name upon them.
Great. Presents. My turn first.
I knew you were excited about getting some presents.
No. I meant that I want to be first to give presents.
Piper, wait a minute. We all take turn to open presents, remember?
Would you like to go first?
No, would.
Would I like to go first,
You go.
Captain Hook?
Spencer already said that he would like to go first, so you can go second.
Well, I'm giving so she can still open first if she wants to.
Thank you, Captain Hook.
Why, you're welcome, Peter Pan.
You don't need to encourage her.
Is it really so awful? We all have those days where we'd like to be someone else, and maybe it shows she's displaying some
This isn't
empathy.
funny, Spencer.
I'm not trying to be funny.
So where's your gift to Piper?
Right. Hey, Piper, can I take this out of the stack?
Yes.
Great. Here you go. Merry Christmas from me.
Piper shreds the wrapping paper off to reveal a deluxe edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Bought this before I knew you'd gotten sick of Alice, but it's still a great book, don't you think? Both volumes, tons of colored pictures, embossed font. See, touch the cover. Doesn't that feel cool? And it's even got a cool little...
After studying the gift, Piper sets the book behind her and picks up another present.
Well, hey, I think you looked at that one a whole 2 seconds longer than last year's gift, so that's something.
Hold on, Piper. We take turns opening presents, remember?
And what do we say when someone gives us a present, Piper?
We say, excuse me. And we say, thank you.
Much better. I like that nice tone of voice. Who are you saying thank you to?
Thank you, Spencer.
You're welcome. Okay, Mom and Dad's turn now. It's a joint gift.
Oh.
In his jittery state, he knocks into Piper's tower of presents.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yikes, sorry.
Spencer tries to straighten the stack. Piper knocks his hands away to fix it herself.
If you feed Spencer to the crocodile, then...
Right, like when Peter Pan feeds Hook to the crocodile. Well, if you fed me to the crocodile, then I'd certainly be out of your way and not annoying you so much.
Yes, please.
Bruce and Helen open and read the card.
But it also break a lot of my bones, maybe even kill me. Do you know that, Piper? Do you understand that I'd be hurt?
If Spencer gets hurt, then...
Then it's painful.
No pain.
Not for you, just me.
You don't want Spencer to be painful.
Why? It wouldn't affect you. You probably wouldn't even notice.
Piper
Do you-
shoves her new book into his hands.
Do you want to read?
Right. Silly Spencer.
Silly.
You'd only notice my pain because of how it affects your life. Like not being able to read to you.
Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan.
Okay, never mind.
Do you want Spencer to be happy?
I am happy, Piper. Why are you the only one who can't believe me?
I don't know, Hook.
Yeah, okay. Me either.
He sits back down.
Oh, not Spencer. You know you didn't have to.
I know I didn't have to, so I don't want to hear a single but from either of you, okay?
While the rest of the family is distracted by the following conversation, Piper tries to sneakily open more presents.
Oh, I'm fine. Only I was trying to remember the last time your father and I went out by ourselves, and all that's coming to mind is my birthday 4 years ago, but surely there must have been something before.
You know, no, I don't think there was, because the last time we used, whatever her name was, who was that?
Oh, like Gabby or Giselle?
Giselle, yeah. Sure. And you know, that girl as a babysitter, but then she panicked when Piper threw the portable TV across the room.
I told that girl not to keep trying to touch Piper, and she hadn't thrown anything that heavy in years.
And before her, the other sitter, we tried to just let Piper just spend the entire time examining the planes of our
Oh,
house.
horrible for her eyes when she gets so close to the counter edge like that. I don't know what that idiot was thinking.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why I'm gifting you 2 a date. I mean,
Well, thank you for doing that.
sure thing. And this is also my way of saying sorry about last night and everything.
You don't need us.
Yes, I do. I shouldn't take my anger out on you like that. But enough of this sad reflective stuff. You're going on a date. That's a happy occasion. Before you make plans, though, there are some rules we need to set down. No, but seriously.
Seriously?
Yes. Rule number 1, you're not allowed to call us.
But if you need something,
If I need you, I'll call. But you can't call me first.
Wow, this is seriously serious.
Rule 2, you're not allowed to talk about your kids.
not sure what we'll talk about.
If you guys did it before, you can do it again, okay?
Theoretically.
You know, we'll think of it as an adventure.
I like that idea. It's been more than a couple decades since my last blind date.
Woo.
Hey, save this for the day, okay?
Right, mental pen in place.
And the final rule is that you're not allowed to come home before Piper's meds.
Meds are at 8:30 at night, 588 minutes away.
Thanks, Piper. I would have said after her meds if I knew how to prep them and if I knew you wouldn't freak out about me prepping them. But that still gives you a decent amount of time.
Well, we appreciate this, Spencer, and we'll have to be sure to know everything before we go out.
Dad, come on. I already know everything.
It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared.
Later that day, Bruce, Helen, and Spencer have finished dinner and are clearing the table. Piper is finishing her dinner of bacon and vegetable chips in the living room while arranging her toys.
Whew. I don't know if I have any room left for dessert after that amazing dinner.
Oh, come on, Dad. You have to at least try the toy.
You'll greatly insult the bakers if you don't.
I'll do my best.
Bruce brings a sugary, gluten-free cereal to Piper. Helen brings desserts to the table along with the manila folder. She and Spencer sit at the table.
What's all this?
You'll know soon enough.
I don't like this conspiratorial look on your face.
Well, you'll be a part of the conspiracy.
Bruce joins them at the table. Helen serves dessert.
Spencer, whatever you ultimately decide is fine, but your father and I think that you should seriously reconsider your decision not to appeal the discharge.
Then John would rub his eyes and mutter, "It is true, we did fly."
I already told you, this isn't a big deal. My life isn't over just because of what's written on my paper.
No one said that your life will be over, but it will be filled with a lot of complications that could be avoided.
Of course, all the boys went to school.
And there's no reason not to at least try and appeal.
There is actually. It's pointless.
And most of them got into class 3, but slightly was put into class 4, and then into class 5.
But that's exactly it. It's not pointless at all. Differences can be made. Look at this.
Helen slides the manila folder towards him. Spencer keeps his hands under the table as he begins to fold his napkin into squares.
Class 1 is the top class.
We've done some research on it.
Oh, great. You found the internet. Now you're an expert on everything.
Don't talk to your mother that way.
Before they had attended school a week, they saw what goats they had been not to remain on the island.
I'm just making a joke.
Anyway, the military isn't new. They've labeled a lot of people with this so-called personality disorder.
But it was too late now, and soon they settled down to being as ordinary as you or me or Jenkins Minor.
Look, they've done it over 30,000 people with no record of mental illness in the last decade.
But some of them have been able to upgrade the discharge status, and there's no reason why you can't do the same.
At first, Nana tried to tie their feet to the bedpost so they wouldn't fly away in the night.
The appeal process can take a while, and we'll have to be careful not to insult the military while making a case, but
This site says that having any written evidence of your good behavior since your discharge helps too.
One of their diversions by day was to pretend to fall off buses.
We could get together recommendation letters from your old coaches, plus documentation from a psychiatrist about how you don't have any
But
mental
by and
illness.
by, they ceased to tug at their bonds in bed and found that they hurt themselves when they let go.
Piper, if you want something, don't just shout out random words at us. Come in here and say what it is that you need.
Can Dad take away your plate?
You can bring your plate into the kitchen. You know how to do that.
Piper throws her plate across the room.
Are you all done with dinner?
We're all done being loud, Piper.
In time, they could not even fly after their hats.
Piper begins to throw all pillows and cushions from the furniture onto the floor. Bruce and Helen rush to the living room. Spencer hovers in the doorway between living room and kitchen.
Want of practice, they called it, but what it really meant was that they no longer believed.
Oh, what a good idea. To put some pillows on the ground. I bet that'll make sitting on the floor a lot more comfy.
Michael believed longer than the other boys, though they jeered at
It's
him.
your calm body. Come on, relax your arms and take deep breaths.
Spencer returns to the kitchen and clears the table. He does not touch his napkin scraps or the manila folder.
So he was with Wendy when Peter came for her at the end of the first year.
Piper, don't you think it's time to watch It's a Wonderful Life?
She flew away with Peter in the frock she had woven from leaves and berries in the Neverland.
Yes, I know I'd love to watch It's a Wonderful Life. That's an excellent idea.
And we haven't watched it yet this Christmas.
And her one fear was that he might notice how short it had become.
Bruce sets up the VCR with It's a Wonderful Life. Helen fixes the furniture. Piper sits on the floor.
But he never noticed. He had so much to say about himself.
Spencer peers through the doorway, then returns to the kitchen table. He drops the napkin scraps and manila folder into a trash can. Helen enters the kitchen.
Thanks for preparing the table.
Sure. It was a great Christmas dinner, especially the beef.
Well, thank you. I took a creative risk there and I stuffed it with blue cheese and mushrooms instead of the usual spinach.
Well, your risk paid off. Are you okay?
Yes. We're lucky that outburst didn't escalate too far.
A real Christmas miracle.
Want to join us for It's a Wonderful Life?
Why not? I might have all the dialogue down, but I don't think I've memorized every single background noise just yet.
Well, that we have to remedy.
The whiteboard reads, Thursday, December 26th. The schedule should include the items 4:30 p.m. Mom and Dad go out, play at home with Spencer. 8:25 p.m. Mom and Dad come home. Piper sits on the floor watching her Jim Rummy VHS on rewind. She flips through her books and magazines. Spencer is curled on the furniture in one of the few spaces not covered in toys. Helen and Bruce hover.
Piper's schedule is printed on the whiteboard.
Exactly where it's written every single day.
Just reminding you in case you forget something.
Even if I forget something, Piper sure wouldn't.
All the same, her schedule is on the board. Piper is still on vacation.
Christmas break lasts until Monday, January 6th.
See, I forget anything, I just ask her.
Don't make this harder than it has to be, Spencer. You know it's not always that simple.
I'm not making this hard, I'm just telling you that we're going to be fine. I want you guys to relax while you're out.
Relax? do we know how to do that?
Okay. Look, I want to be certain you're up to date on everything. I can change in 6 months. And
I know, and you've been very thorough. We're all set, okay?
We'll be home soon.
Not before the meds.
At 8:30, 245 minutes away.
Okay, well, then I guess we'll just be.
Stop fidgeting and go.
Oh, and Spencer, remind us when we get back to show you another helpful advocacy site about the healing.
Yeah, sounds great. But right now you're using up precious minutes. Must be down to only, what, 200 by this time, right, Piper?
244.
All right, well, we'll talk later.
All right. Goodbye, Spencer.
You too, Dad. Have fun.
Goodbye, Piper. I'll see you later tonight, okay? Piper. Piper, I'm trying to say goodbye to you.
Jeez, they never leave.
Still here, Spencer!
Oops, sorry. There. All right, now they're going. So, what shall we do?
Piper flips through magazines and books.
Oh, Well, that's fine. We can both do our own things.
He begins to thumb through a magazine. Piper cheerfully recites her gin rummy video.
Whew, that was an awful lot of information for one video. Did you find yourself overwhelmed by this new bounty of knowledge? If so, don't sweat it. Every game has a learning curve. Just keep playing gin rummy and don't be ashamed to watch this video a time or a dozen more. Perfection, after all, is an art. And art takes passion, time, and most importantly, dedication. Uh-oh!
Relax. Everything's fine. I just accidentally dropped the magazine. Can you watch the video on rewind again?
No thank you, Captain Hook.
Okay, that's fine. I'll be in my room if you need me.
No.
No what?
Do you want Spencer to stay?
Okay, fine, I'll stay. Stay in here.
Whoops. Wrong answer, Peter Pan.
What answer?
Do you want Spencer to go?
But you just said you wanted me to stay.
Do I want Spencer to go, please?
All right, I'm leaving.
Stop that right now, Mrs. Darling.
Everything's okay, Piper. Why don't you take a deep breath and tell me what you want?
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Piper, I don't want the goddamn moon. I just want to understand what you want.
Piper lashes her arm out and knocks over some toys.
What is it you want, Mary?
Okay, let's tell a story. Would you like to hear a story?
Yes, George Bailey.
All right, once upon a time, Spencer dropped the magazine on the ground because accidents happen, like when Peter Pan lost his shadow, right? He certainly didn't, he didn't mean to do that, but Piper, could you please stop that video?
Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
Okay, you don't have to stop the video, that's fine. Let's mute it instead, please.
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
I can't think with, I hear it enough in my head.
There is no George Bailey.
Okay. So once upon a time, silly Spencer accidentally dropped a magazine because accidents just happen sometimes. Even though we don't mean them to. But then Spencer was sorry and Piper forgave him. The end? Here, take my hands. It's gonna be fine. It is fine.
You've been given a great gift, Spencer. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
Lowe's bet, I'm sure. Without such a fucking failure.
Do you want Spencer to be happy?
Yeah. I want Spencer to be happy too.
Do you want to tell a story?
I just did.
But that wasn't a very good story, was it, Piper? I bet we could tell a better story.
You want a story, Piper? A really good story? Because I've got one no one's ever heard, including you. Listen closely so you don't miss a single detail. Once upon a time, a silly boy, no, a stupid boy, a really fucking idiot named Spencer enlisted in the army. Spencer joined up to protect his country, do some good in the world. That's what he told his parents at least, but that was only half the truth because Spencer had a secret. Want to know what the secret was? Want to be the first to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God? Spencer wanted to join the army to feel a part of a family. A real family, Piper. One where everyone is equal and where everyone else's lives don't come second to the main show known as Piper Raleigh. It's a crazy idea, I know. But stupid little boy Spencer didn't think so. Difficult, sure, and idealistic, but not crazy. Not impossible to find a band of brothers to stand with in solidarity before the flag as it flies high. but not such an out there dream, as American dreams usually do go.
Want a different story, Piper?
Oh, but here's where it gets good, Piper. Because little did this boy know that some people don't enlist to serve their country or find another family. No, see, some people join up to hide behind a banner of charitable goodness. But even after Spencer learned that, he forced himself to fill out those allegation forms and bring them to his commander. Stupid Spencer told himself that if he could summon the courage to be a hero and file that report, then at least, despite the pain, at least there could still be some justice. Now, here comes the plot twist. When Spencer went to Commander Walter, Spencer learned what a huge mistake it was to ever try and play the hero. Because Spencer's commander tore up his allegation forms. No, that's not a metaphor, Piper. He literally tore up the papers before Spencer's eyes, and he said to me, "Don't come bitching to me because you had sex and then change your mind." Being shoved face down onto the bathroom floor, getting his nose smashed against having the pressure points at the back of his neck dug into by someone's fingers. Spencer couldn't tell whose. Those fingers dug in hard enough to make Spencer see black spots, but not hard enough for him to pass out. God, how Spencer wished they would just let him pass out, but of course it was more fun to have him awake. And it was like being shoved to the floor when he watched Commander Walter shred his allegation papers.
Do you not like this story,
All
Piper?
Spencer got for mistakenly trying to be a hero was a roommate change. As though that would solve everything, because oh, how tragic. Brody had a little too much aggression. Maybe Brody just needs a wound to himself. I mean, my God, poor Brody, poor kid thinks gang rape is a laugh.
Please, let's rewind and start the VHS tape again.
But the official reason for Brody's room change states only personal differences. That's all he got on his record.
Excuse me, please. Thank you. Have a nice day. I'm sorry.
Hey, would you
Good night, but it's
Piper,
all
would you
done
believe-
now.
Would you believe, Piper, that even after all that, stupid Spencer still thought the world could have some good? Would you believe that this little boy still refused to grow up and face reality? I find it hard to believe personally, but it's the honest truth. Right hand over my heart. Spencer tried to take his case past the military courts and into the regular justice system, but that, of course, is not allowed. And that is why Spencer was discharged. What other choice did Spencer give the Army, really? Once he threatened to expose their incestuous practices, what else could Spencer's family do but disown him?
I think it's time to go visit the VCR doctor.
And so the moral of the story is that so long as everything looks fine, everything is fine. That's something that our family knows all too well, isn't it, Piper? Wait, that's not the only lesson to take from this tale. This story is a double header. The second moral is that no family stands in solidarity. There's always going to be several side shows to the main attraction because, well, all men were created equal, but it sure in the hell doesn't stay that way. There's a Piper Raleigh in every single family. And she will always dominate over those of us who learn first to be pushed to the sideline.
If you feed George Bailey to the crocodile, then there is no George Bailey.
And then learn to push ourselves there. So that's what I'm going to do, Piper. I'm going to remember that I'm not the main feature. I'm going to remember that I'm not the main feature, and I'm not ever going to try and be more than a sideline. There it is. That's the end. What do you think? Do you want to hear it again? Should I add more pizzazz this time? Maybe I should be a little less moralistic. I don't want to come off as too preachy.
Piper pushed away from Spencer and motioned to the other side of the room. She resumed kicking the wall Spencer stayed.
Hey, Piper. It's all over. I'm done now. I'm fine now. I'm happy.
No, you're not Peter Pan.
No, I'm not. But it's done. I mean, it isn't done. But I don't mean to yell. It all builds up. I never get a chance to speak. Or I don't know how, even when the chance is there, but you're okay, Piper. You don't have to hurt yourself.
They stay that way for a while. Eventually, Piper sits on the ground. She holds one of her books close to her face, the spine level with her squinting eyes, and moves her head side to side. Spencer begins to clean up the mess. Then he stops. He stares at the silent, flipped over VCR.
They still live inside my head, but it's just in my head, and I just don't know how to make others believe what every day. I know you relate. No, you don't relate because you can't. And that's okay. Piper, I'm really. Do you want me to leave?
Spencer goes into the kitchen and attempts to occupy himself with vague tasks, such as pushing in chairs or wiping away dust. Eventually, he just sits back on the floor. Lights up slowly. Piper and Spencer are more or less in the same positions as before, except the living room is back in order. Sound of a car pulling into a driveway. Spencer, after a moment's delay, springs to his feet and runs into the living room, stopping in the doorway. Piper does not look up.
You fixed up the room.
Yes, Peter Pan?
Thanks for doing that. You know, don't need mom and dad to. It looks good all tidied up.
Hello? We're home.
Oh, welcome back.
How are my favorite children doing?
Fine. Just hung out all afternoon, nothing fancy. Did you two have a good time?
Sure did. Movie, a dinner, walk through to the park, and
Minus the dramatic score.
Yeah.
And you obeyed my rules. You didn't talk about your kids. Oh, come on.
It's second nature, Spencer.
It's a miracle you guys even got together and had kids to talk about in the first place.
Well, we had our lives then. Now our lives revolve around our precious little children.
Oh no! Don't pull that sap on me. All right. Did you find other things to talk about for at least part of the night, please?
For maybe 2/3 of the night, I'd say. Not bad.
I suppose not.
Piper, we're home. Don't you want to say hello?
Hello, Wendy, darling. Hello, George Bailey. Hello, VCR player.
So, is that really all you're going to tell me? Don't I get to hear the sparkling details of your film romance?
Well, maybe in half an hour. I need to start Piper's meds.
So life in this house just goes back to normal, I guess.
I mean, was life in this house ever abnormal?
I really wanted you guys to have a good time and to tour.
Look, we did have a good time, Spencer, but what even can alter our entire lives? We don't need to even all of everything.
Bruce puts his hand on Spencer's shoulder. Spencer is surprised but lets him.
Piper, it's time for your meds.
Piper, did you hear your mom? It's time for your meds.
Well, I'm going to my room. Meds don't need to be a whole family affair, am I right?
Spencer, no.
No what?
No, you do not want the moon, Spencer.
Okay, what do you want then?
Piper, your meds are ready. Are you coming?
No. Where's Spencer?
Right here, Piper, what do you want?
Do you want Legos?
You know where your Legos are, but if you want me to, I can get them.
No, you do not want Legos.
Right. Silly Spencer.
Silly Spencer. Is it time to watch It's a Wonderful Life?
It could be. If you want to watch it, we can watch it.
No, Peter Pan, you do not want to watch it.
Piper, you know it's 8:32, right? Your meds are ready.
Well, you let me know what you want when you figured it all out, okay?
Do you want...
And if you don't figure it out, that's okay too, because frankly, a lot of us never do.
Can I have a hug?
Really?
Yes, me? Yes, Spencer.
Before Spencer can even open his arms, Piper rams into his chest. Her body is tense, arms firmly at her sides, but she stays there far longer than she usually allows physical contact. Slowly, Spencer puts his arms around her. It takes a minute, but he relaxes, leaning into her and resting his chin on her head.